Hey everybody, welcome to Hash It Out. I am your host, RJ, and in this episode, I'll be talking to Sharon Kevil about providing a more sophisticated and design-focused approach to safe cannabis storage. We'll also talk about the importance of sustainable business practices as cannabis becomes commercialized, and more. Without further ado, let's hash it out. My guest today is the CEO and founder of the furniture company Forti Goods, which specializes in creating furniture for a higher purpose. Welcome to the show, Sharon Kevil. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so stoked to have you here. Like I said, we were talking before when we were doing the sound checks. Your audio is so crisp. Your backdrop is so crisp. Like, you're definitely scoring points for the staging today. That's for sure. I
love it.
Where are you joining us virtually from today?
I am in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and it is just starting to show the first signs of spring, which is amazing because it has been a very cold and snowy winter.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I'm originally from Michigan, so I know all about that. All about that Midwestern, that lake effect snow. Like, ooh.
Yes.
It gets you. That wind chill. Oh, yeah. My goodness. Oh, my goodness.
Well, so spring is on the way.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, yes. I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad that you are warm and indoors. And I'm so stoked to pick your brain about everything you've got going on at Forti Goods. Like I said, your company is so unique in that you really are the only people doing what you're doing so far. And I was so grateful that the team sent me your information over at Trichomes and turned me on to y'all, because once I started looking into your company and what you guys are doing over there, like it was like someone had extracted like a thought that I had, or like a desire that I had, but not been able to like put into words, or let alone like actually like begin. And so it was great. I was like, this is what I was looking for this whole time. Like, this is so awesome. So please, just for those who may not be familiar, like I said, Forti Goods specializes in making company for a higher purpose. Mm-hmm. So please, for our good viewers and listeners who may not be familiar, tell me more about what you're doing at Forti Goods.
Sure. So we are sort of the first of its kind lockable furniture to safely store cannabis in the modern home. So our furniture is app-enabled. You basically, connect your furniture. It comes to you. You connect your furniture through Bluetooth, put it up onto your Wi-Fi, and you now have access to it from wherever. You can unlock and lock drawers remotely. You can assign other users. So if you have a friend who's staying with you for a while and you want to give them access to your cabinet, you can do that. But it is a really great product that just didn't exist in the market. There's tons of stash boxes out there, right? Smaller things to keep smaller parts and pieces. But, if you have glassware that you want to keep, out of the way, if you have, other products that maybe when they're not in use are a little stinky and you want to put them away, there just wasn't really anything that existed to keep everything together. And you can go online right now and type in liquor cabinet and find hundreds, if not thousands, of options to safely store and display all of your alcohol. But there just wasn't anything like that for cannabis. And, times are changing. It's not federally legal yet, but we're inching that way. And hopefully it happens sooner rather than later. And with that, there's going to be more and more people are going to be bringing cannabis into their homes. And we just want to make sure that there is an option for people who want to store it safely and, keep it out of the hands of kids or roommates or whomever. So that's kind of what we're all about.
I love that. Now, when was the company founded? How long ago now?
So it was founded in August of 2018, but we have done, we spent a really long time developing the furniture line. We wanted to make sure that we were delivering a product that doesn't fall into the fast furniture category. So, fast furniture relies on people in, developing countries. It relies on people who are poor. It relies on a lot of, some of it relies on deforestation, and it relies on, a really dirty, inefficient way of getting products from
Mm.
overseas into our country. So we wanted to create something that was sustainably made, that pays living wages so that, people can spend time with their families and, live a happy
Sure.
life. And we also wanted to make sure that the products that we were delivering to people, weren't going to be finished with these, terrible finishes that will stink up your home and, give you a headache when it first shows up. And it took a while to figure out, how we were going to do that, and,
Mhm.
how we were going to access the furniture, whether or not we were going to use a key or, an app, or, how you were going to get in and out of it. And then,
Yeah.
we spent a ton of time looking for locks, looking for controllers, and we just couldn't find anything. So we had to set about making it. So
Wow.
it's been a long road.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it like to be what is it like to be a furniture company that's also, you know, like in a
A
in
tech
a you
company?
using yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
using the transitive property. Using the
Yes.
transitive property. You're a
Yes.
furniture company, but you're also a tech company, and as far as I know, the only furniture company with a companion app. So
Yeah.
what was it like to not only create the furniture, design the furniture, but then design the app and all the
Yeah.
technology behind it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it was the furniture line started first, and, we were looking at a bunch of different locks and what was out there. And I always joke to people that I felt a little bit like Goldilocks. Like, there were these locks that were, way too expensive and way too, required continuous power supplies, required, things that you would find in a, 1% uber wealthy person's home who's got like an expensive collection and they want to lock that up.
Sure.
It was these really sophisticated systems. And then on the other hand, we had all these, what I was calling dumb locks, where they don't talk to one another. So if you had, a couple of cabinets or a couple of drawers in a cabinet, you could
Mhm.
really only like open one at a time, and there was no history on any of them. It didn't talk to anything else. It was just using something like an RFID card or your
Oh, sure.
thumbprint or something like that. And I wanted something that kind of bridged the gap between both of those. So, you'd be able to have a history on there, you'd be able to set preferences, you'd be able to, um, you know, get in and out of it more easily without losing a key, or losing a key fob. Um, and, figuring out all of those things, we realized kind of quickly that there isn't something out there. So we found a lock on the market that was pretty close to what we wanted. And then we found a developer locally who could build out the hardware to control it, and another company who could build our app for us. And so we've been, designing the app in house, and
Yeah.
all the features. And so, right now we're launching with a more pared down app, but we have, in our strategic plan for the future, we've got all kinds of different bells and whistles that we want to add to it to kind of really grow the line and grow, make it kind of a whole system.
Totally. So you're again a furniture company and a tech company.
Yeah.
I understand that the majority of your experience is in design,
hmm
and interior design in particular. So what was the bigger learning curve, like designing furniture for cannabis related activity, or designing a furniture app? What was the biggest learning curve for you?
I think the furniture app was definitely the biggest learning curve. There are lots of lessons
Sure.
learned there. I mean, I love technology, and, I'm fairly tech savvy. I would say that I fall kind of into an early adopter. I really I kind of geek out on that stuff. My dad
Yeah.
was a computer programmer, or a software programmer. So growing up, I was always around computers. Um,
Nice.
and, I like it, but, I can't look at code and understand what it is. I can't. So it was really learning a lot about what certain things do, what we could and couldn't do, what it was magical thinking on my part, and what could actually be, executed on. So
Right.
that was sort of the harder part, you know, but I've had my dad's help a little bit in the process. So he's kind of looked through it and given me the thumbs up on the code and on the hardware layouts that we have. So it's been a fun project to kind of bring him on as a consultant for. And the furniture design part is not that difficult. I've been doing that for a
Sure.
while, and I've been doing interior design for a while. So I really had a good idea of what I wanted to do for form factors and how I wanted to build out the line in terms of how many pieces, how many entertainers we were going to do, how many coffee tables, how many side tables, and developing the line and what it looks like from there. Um, and, just layering in the certain features that were specific to cannabis users, basically something that would absorb smells. And then something
Right.
that, we want this furniture to last, this is not something that has, a planned obsolescence, like your phone is only going to last you for a couple of years and then you got to buy a new
Sure.
phone. We want this to last for a long time. So the furniture will outlast, obviously, any technology we have, but we made it
Mhm.
modular so that at any point, if, let's say cell phones go away completely or apps go away completely and it's, something else, we can very easily take the pieces that are in the furniture right now, the technology part, and retrofit the furniture with something else, whatever it happens to be in the
Mm.
future. And in doing that, we
Sure.
wanted to make sure that people would be able to use this furniture well into, their, the later stages of their lives. So, I have a mom. I have a mom. Everybody has a mom. I have a mom who has Parkinson's, and she has tremor, and it's harder for her to do some of those like pinching and twisting motions, like what you would do for a key, to,
Mm.
grab a key and then put it into, a lock and then twist it and open something. So, in looking at the app, we want to make sure that the app had, big enough buttons and was intuitive enough for older people who might not be as used to technology as, younger generations are. So all of those things kind of like factored into the project, between the actual furniture design and then the app design. And it was just a really fun, like meaty project to kind of sink my teeth into. So it's been fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you're 2 years into it now.
Yeah.
Just about, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just about 2 years into it, a little over. But we didn't actually launch the line until October of last year. So
Oh, okay.
we
Okay.
launched it. So it took a long time to develop the product.
Sure.
Yeah.
And one of your company's slogans that I found on your website when I was digging through is "Cannabis grew up, and so did we."
Yeah.
Right, and I love that. So tell me about how you've seen uh, the image of cannabis grow up over the years and become
Mhm.
normalized, and how are you following that evolution over at Forti?
Sure. So, I mean, I think there are, not that I condone cannabis use at a young age, but I found cannabis when I was in high school. And, at that point, it was, people storing it in weird places. And then, you move into, your college years and, it's hidden somewhere. And we like to say
Yeah.
it's like a shoebox on a dusty shelf. And, we want
Yeah.
to take things out of the shoebox and bring it into your home and put it in a place where, it normalizes it. Part of the reason, when we first came out, there were a lot of people who were like, why would you need a full piece of furniture for cannabis? Are you
Mm.
a drug addict? Are you promoting, drug use? And, I think
Mhm.
that stigma is still really, it's really persistent. And, there's a lot of great people that are out there, even you yourself that are out there that are talking about cannabis in a way that is much more, um, a much more intelligent way than what, how it's been portrayed in the past as somebody who's,
Mhm.
couch locked and like not doing anything, watching the grass grow, instead of, people who are actually using it on a daily basis, microdosing or otherwise, and are out there, living their lives and being productive, raising
Mhm.
families, doing normal things. I like to tell people, it's pretty likely that, your kid's teacher, your doctor, your attorney, there are so many people who use cannabis,
Mhm.
regularly that it really deserves something that is, more fitting of the adult lives that we're all living. And,
Right.
it's just everything was so small and like based on, hiding things. And for us, it's not about hiding, it's about safely storing something, just like you would safely store a
Mm,
handgun, just like you would safely store prescription
right.
medication, things like that.
Yeah, I love that distinction of you're not hiding, you're safely
Mm-mm.
storing. I That's
Yes.
such a great distinction to make. Yeah, so thank you for mentioning that.
Hmm.
You also mentioned that Forty is not by any means a fast furniture company. We're not
Yes.
talking like the IKEA of cannabis or
No.
anything like that. I understand, and you kind of mentioned this before that you started Forty shortly after seeing some suboptimal working conditions internationally.
Yes.
Which is something that you wanted to not bring, of course, to your
Hmm.
company when you started it.
Yes.
And you also noticed a lot of pollution that was being
Hmm.
caused by these companies and by cannabis related companies. And that's sort of been a topic recently here in the States, particularly with commercial indoor cannabis operations.
Hmm.
There's a recent study that was published in the journal Nature Sustainability that found that in the US, for every 2 pounds of cannabis flower, one indoor cultivation warehouse can produce between 5,000 to 11,400 pounds of carbon emissions. So, in other
Hmm.
words, an eighth of cannabis has a carbon footprint of 41 pounds.
That's
So,
insane.
yeah, and that's just recently published. So, just tell me a little more about your company's commitment to sustainability and why that is so important to y'all over at Forty.
Sure. So, first and foremost, I want to say, overseas, we were producing, the company that I was working for was producing furniture mainly in Asia. So I spent a lot of time
Okay.
in China and Vietnam. And,
Hmm.
there are, you know, uh, there's a ton of manufacturing obviously over there now. And part of that is due to, a little bit more lax regulation in the environmental laws there. And the other part is obviously inexpensive labor. And so, while I was there, I noticed that there were, I was having issues with, like respiratory issues. There were sometimes, a couple of trips that I went on, they had, when we were in Shanghai, they had, issued indoor air quality or I'm sorry, outdoor air quality um, warnings and you'd feel sick by the end of the day like you were getting a cold, but really it was just pollution. And I'm not picking on those countries. I mean, it happens here too. There is a ton of pollution that
Sure.
happens here. um, but I think that over here we do have the EPA, and a lot of businesses like to rail against it, but those regulations are there for a reason. We're trying to keep clean air and clean water, and we do have those
Mhm.
issues here. So I just want to make sure that it's not coming across that I'm kind of disrespecting the Asian countries or Asian people. It's not about that. It's about the environmental standards, and being able to have more control over them. Over there, I'm a tiny person, tiny
Right.
customer to a large factory, and over here, I can be a much more meaningful. I have more control over the sustainability efforts, and I can trace back all of the claims that we're making. I can trace all those back here. So I feel like
Mhm.
um, I have more accountability here. And so right now, the way that we've started, we're contract manufacturing. So we do all of our designs and we partner with other factories here who are making our products. Eventually,
Mhm.
as we grow, we're going to start bringing some of that into our own facility. That's the plan. And so we want to be able to, build on our environmental story as we grow. So right now, I would say that we're doing, more than the bare minimum, but not much more. So we are making sure that our finishes are all water-based so that the people who are spraying them and the people who have, bring our products into their homes aren't going to experience any respiratory issues from our finishes. And that is not going to affect the durability of the product. In fact, it's just as durable as anything, any of the stinky stuff that they spray. The second thing that we're doing is making sure that all of our materials, our raw materials, so all of our wood materials are coming from FSC certified sources, and we want to make sure that they're all regional so that they're not coming from, the far part of, the country, or, we're trying to look at Midwestern hardwoods for our products. And then anything else that we use, like we use, you can see all this pink furniture in my office.
Yeah.
All of that furniture has linoleum on it, and linoleum is, a more natural product. And
Sure.
so I shouldn't say all of our furniture. A lot of our accessories have linoleum on it, and we have some plans for furniture in the future to have linoleum on it as well. So all the materials that we're looking to do are either biodegradable, long lasting, recyclable, things like that. We have some, instead of using glass, we're using a resin product that can be infinitely recycled for our tabletop, for our coffee tables, and for our, glass doors.
Sure.
And, those are kind of the things that we're doing now. And as we are able to, start our own factory, we want to get into things like, low energy solar power. We want to get into certainly any of the people that we hire, we're going to be paying living wage. And ultimately, we want to be profit sharing with anybody who joins our company, because we want to be really conscious in, how we build this business, and making sure that just because I started the company doesn't mean all of the profits, belong to me in perpetuity. Everybody who works in
Right.
this company is helping to build this company, and they should be, building wealth off of it as well.
I
So
love that.
yeah.
I love that you have made that such an important pillar in the way that you run your business, because like I mentioned, sustainability is certainly, it's the key to longevity.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be able to, the word sustain, you know what I mean,
Yes.
just in and of itself is the key to longevity. So I respect you for making that a pillar of
Thank
your
you.
operations over there. Yeah. I just want to ask you one more thing, because
Sure.
I have interior designers in my family, so I just want to ask, I just
Oh,
want to pick your designer brain just for
yeah.
1 second. Um, so as we've been saying, Forti is geared towards parents looking to,
Hmm.
child-proof and safely store their cannabis products. But it's also geared toward, anyone looking for a more sophisticated and
Yes.
design-focused approach to cannabis.
Correct.
I understand that you were an interior designer at Kohl's for some time before
Hmm.
starting Forti. So I'm just curious to ask you, as a designer, um, what are some of the subtle ways that design influences our moods, our aesthetics, our energies, etc. Things like that. And
Sure.
how have you seen examples of that specifically in cannabis product design?
I think that, in general, obviously the space that you're in has a lot to do with your mood. I mean, if you think about if you've ever, been in an office that has, a lot of fluorescent overhead light, no windows, and, it's, maybe the furniture is old or the carpet's dirty,
Sure.
you just kind of feel like yourself, ooh, kind of, you're not thriving. We're kind of like living house plants. We need sunlight, we need fresh air, and we
Yep.
need beautiful surroundings. And I think even too, outside of interior design, even if you're in a beautiful space, there's so many, your mood can change completely for the better if you just, get up from your desk, and go for a walk outside. And
Mm,
I think that, fresh air, sunlight, your surroundings are really important. And as an interior designer, we kind of want to bring those same things those same regenerative feelings and feelings of wellness, into our interior spaces. And so, I think that when I look at maybe not necessarily cannabis products, but when I look at dispensary design, certainly I've been in dispensaries where, you walk in and it literally looks like somebody slapped it together. It's white walls and it's, what looks like reused retail cases and, everything's just kind of slapped together in, a strip mall somewhere. And then you walk into some of these spaces that are destinations. You'll walk into, like, I look at photos of, I actually haven't been to one yet, but like The Botanist, which has a lot of dispensaries on the East Coast. They have a whole, you walk into that space and it looks like a beautiful retail showroom. It looks like a hotel
Sure.
almost. They're very
Yeah.
they're very hospitality focused spaces. And I think that, those are spaces that you want to engage in. And I hope that there are more of those spaces that come to life as legalization progresses, because, it's going to be a real shame if this industry turns into something that's just about, churning customers through and is just about money, because this plant
Yeah.
is, magical and has so many wellness and healing properties,
Mm.
that, turning it into a commodity would be a real shame.
It would, yeah, it would be. I'm glad that you bring that up because that's, you know, um, the leaps and bounds that we've made in the cannabis industry and that
Hmm.
we've seen have been so encouraging to hear. But at the same time, there is, that line that, you don't want to cross into it becoming, like you said, a commodity and,
Yeah.
just the standard industry model of just churning people out and
Hmm.
you know, the turnover rate. And so I'm glad that you focus on that. And for those of you who would like to make your space one of those inviting,
Hmm.
sophisticated cannabis spaces, Forti Goods is here and waiting for y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
Where can our viewers and our listeners keep up with you and keep up with all of the things you've got going on over at Forti
Sure.
Goods?
Sure. So our website is kind of the first space. So that's www.fortigoods.com, FORTIGOODS.com. And then our social media handle, most places, is at Forti Goods. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, all those places.
I dig it. I dig it. And we'll
Yeah.
leave all the links in the description of this episode down below.
Wonderful.
Sharon, thank you so much for all of your insight and for all the work that you're doing. Again, I love your company. I'm so stoked that I found y'all. And I hope to talk to you again soon. And if I'm ever back home in the Midwest, I will
Yeah.
definitely look y'all up. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
please do.
sure.
We'd love to show you around and demo
Yeah.
some of our pieces for you.
Oh, totally. Totally. We'll rehash it out for an episode 2. It'll be on
Exactly.
location. Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah,
I'm going to take you up on that.
yeah. I dig it. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. My people will talk to your people.
Yes,
Totally.
yes.
Right on.
Awesome.
Sharon Kevil, thank you so much again. I really
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time. Please continue to be well and stay safe out there. And hopefully, we'll be able to talk again soon.
Yeah, you too. Thanks so much.
My thanks again to Sharon Kevil for joining me. If you are a member of the cannabis community and have a story you want to share with us, we would love to hear from you. You can reach the show at hashitout@trichomes.com. You can help others find the show by taking a moment to subscribe to the podcast and write a review. You can also join the discussion with industry insiders and get your voice heard by joining the community at trichomes.com and following us on all social media. Hash It Out is produced by David Fortin and presented by trichomes.com. I'm RJ Balde, your host, and I'll catch you next time.